Hey there, Enthusiacs. Welcome to Hero Talk. I am your host, Judge Greg. Joining me today, I have a returning staple to Hero Talk, Goose. Goose, welcome to Hero Talk.
A pleasure as always.
And making his Hero Talk debut, unless I just can't remember another one you were on, I got Tony. Tony, welcome to Hero Talk.
Thank you, sir. And it was a long time ago. I don't even remember what movie it was, but I know Goose was on the call too.
Yeah.
But it was a very, very long time ago.
All right, but anyway, so welcome to Hero Talk. As we've said before, I am Judge Greg, and so for today, we're doing something a little different. We're not actually picking on a film. We've got a lot of trailers lately. Some of them came out of Comic-Con or whatever thing that gets trailers released from them these days that all the kids are watching. We've had a lot of stuff for the DC Comics cinematic universe. And we've torn apart the Marvel one, left ways and right ways on Hero Talk. But for the cinematic universe for DC, we really haven't had a chance because really they only have that one movie out right now. But I didn't figure that was going to stop us from taking the time to figure it out and talk about something. So we're going to have a movieless Hero Talk where we are just going to speculate and talk about the Suicide Squad and Batman v Superman specifically, and just about anything else that we might have seen or heard coming out of the talk about these new movies. Now, as always, Hero Talk is a spoiler podcast. And in this case, it's probably more so, because not only are we going to talk about anything that's released as being fair game, but we're basically wildly speculating on movies that aren't out yet. And while we don't actually have informants on set or anything like that, so it's not like I can confirm anything that we're going to completely make up about these movies or suppose about these movies, we might actually hit it on the head, in which case that could probably be a pretty big spoiler. So if you're one of those people who won't watch the trailers and doesn't want to know anything about the movie before it's out, this is the time to turn off Hero Talk and go watch one of our other ones on a movie you might have seen. Like Batman Returns, that was a good one. Go watch Batman Returns.
And
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and then come back once I guess Batman v Superman's out and next year, and is it Suicide Squad's the following year? Or is that also 2016?
No, that's also 2016.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and I think Suicide Squad's right now it's supposed to be released on August 5th, 2016. So I think that's a Wednesday. I don't know. I don't remember. Anyway, so that's there you go. So you can come back and listen to this then, and you'll see how right or how wrong we were. Who knows? Good time.
I'm gonna call it right now. I'm gonna say the end of this Batman v Superman. I guess I'm gonna say the Justice League is gonna start forming. I'm just gonna make that call right now.
Okay. Wow, that's some pretty major spoilerage right there.
That's all I got, though.
Yeah. All right. So I guess the best way to start with this is because we're kind of free-forming it here. We're not really I shouldn't say a real Hero Talk. We are, because this totally counts as a Hero Talk, and I'm putting it up as an episode. But we're not. We're not really tearing apart a specific movie, and we don't know anything. But I just want to touch on the cast, and I think the big one that everyone's talked about. I know we've been talking about it on Hero Talk for over a year. Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne and Batman, I think is the big one, and that's I don't know. I was not one of the haters. I always kind of thought I liked this casting.
I'll say I wouldn't say I was a hater. I was a little hesitant on the call, and even now, more so than ever, now seeing the latest trailer, it wasn't. My question was never with him playing Bruce Wayne. It was him playing Batman. I think he's going to do Bruce Wayne justice. It's just how he's going to play Batman. Mm-hmm. That's where I'm a little worried.
I completely agree. I'm hoping he gets it. From what I've seen, it looks like it could be, but we've only seen a couple of seconds, so it could be completely fail. But the last time we had an actor who we all knew could do Bruce Wayne, we were not sold on him being Batman, was Batman and Robin. So this can go horribly wrong very quickly.
Yeah, that's true. Now, I will say, the trailer for Batman v Superman, the most recent one that came out of whatever con was it Comic-Con? I really feel like I need to narrow that down.
I'm almost 100% sure it was.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So the one that came out of Comic-Con, it had the beginning of it was this phenomenal scene, which I thought was really powerful, where it's like the Wayne building's coming down. And you have Batman running into the debris cloud while everyone's running out of it, which is an awesome visual, and kind of that's what kind of started to sell me. And the look that Affleck gives Superman while he's in all the carnage, that was Batman. Like, that was when I was sold. Like, oh, he can do it. I think he can. Because that was a Batman, I'm angry at you because you're causing people's deaths stare. And so I think that's I think that was what cemented for me. Like, I think he could pull off Batman.
And what's interesting though is during that scene, well, I guess the scene in I guess it's Man of Steel when that fight with Zod's going on, you don't actually even know that's Bruce. That's one of the Wayne buildings, right? It's just some random building they're just flying through and fighting. Right. So you don't even have that context, which I did like about this trailer. Mm-hmm. Now you kind of see the aftermath of that fight and what happened.
Yeah. And so I did this because why wouldn't I? So I went and looked at it, and the laser beams that you were seeing cut through the building, those were Zod's. So that was actually Zod slicing the building in half.
Oh yeah, there's I'll have to send it to you. There was somebody that did a like a kind of not a side by side, but they kind of meshed up the scenes from the trailer to that fight scene and Man of Steel, and it meshes up perfectly.
Well, that would have saved me a lot of time.
The lasers, yeah. But yeah, it meshes up perfectly.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess you got to set up these guys against each other because everyone wants to see them fight. And now I'm a huge Batman fan. I like Batman way more than Superman. I think he's a better character. I much prefer to see Batman than I would see Superman. However, if we're being perfectly honest with ourselves, a Superman-Batman fight would last about 20 seconds, and that's if Superman wasn't paying attention for the first 19.
I'd have to agree with you on that one.
I mean, honestly, totally. Batman can do all this stuff, and then Superman's like, well, I'm just going to fly to low orbit, and I'm going to use my heat vision to obliterate the 10 square miles where you are. There you go.
Well, yeah. Well, I guess that's why Batman's now got, like, what's the equivalent of Hulkbuster armor on now in this point.
Yeah. I like there was an internet meme shortly after the first trailer came out. It just said, "Tell me, do you bluff?" And the next thing was just a spot where he used to be.
Yeah. Although I will say, and I know like this was the line that created 1,000 memes, but the "Do you bleed?" I thought that was pretty cool.
I agree.
Yeah.
It was. It's just I don't know. Maybe it's just one of those like when you see it in the movie, it sounds good, but that's the only Batman line that we have so far, I believe, and it's just. That on its own, I don't know. It felt weird to me. I don't know really how else to describe it. Like, it almost seemed like he was saying it casually. Like there was no emotion behind it. Maybe that's just me reading into it, but I don't know.
I almost feel like the scene, like that wasn't where he says it in the movie. I think that felt to me a lot like he says it somewhere else, and that's just where they put it in the trailer.
Yeah, that could be. Maybe he's watching him. Maybe that fight kind of saying it to himself.
Yeah, that was kind of my take on it. Is that he was just basically kind of saying it to him, but not directly to him, and then they overlaid it there. Although I don't know if I like the Batman voice, and I would love to hear him say some other stuff to know whether or not like that's his actual voice. Is he's going to be in that weird distorted? Like I don't want my Batman to sound like Dirty Harry, and I feel like that's happened enough. But the same, and I don't think we need to return to the Chris Bale voice. I think that needs to get retired with the Chris Bale films. But I like my Batman to have like a very deep, direct, loud voice. But this kind of felt like that one season of Smallville when they had Green Arrow on and he had like the voice distorter. I guess actual Arrow uses it in the Arrow series too. Yeah. It feels like that.
Exactly what I felt whenever I saw it.
You know what? It's cute on a TV show, but even on the TV show, he doesn't do it all the time. But when it's not a TV show, I don't know. It feels like an emotion picture. I want to hear the Batman voice.
I'm sure we'll get plenty more.
Yeah. I should say, I just recently watched Chasing Amy, and it's a little daunting to see that Ben Affleck and try to think, like, this guy is going to be Batman?
I'm thinking maybe the way the voice is, I think that maybe the way it sounds when he's in the armor. Maybe when he's just in the suit, he just talks. Because the way they built up this, the way it looks in both trailers, the armor, it looks like it has a piece that goes over his mouth. So maybe that's where he actually says it when the whole mask is on, and then we just see him without the mask for the trailer.
I'm okay with that. I
agree.
What I really kind of think is weird is because he's in this suit of armor, but I mean, to Superman, that suit of armor might as well have been, paper mache. So what does he really benefit from wearing the armor? It's not going to save him from anything Superman's going to throw at him.
I'm thinking basically they're just doing that as an homage to The Dark Knight Returns. Yeah. When the two of them fought, he had the armor. Of course, Don't remember it working out too well for him in that comic either.
No, I mean, it basically got ripped right off him in that comic, but...
Yeah, I mean, he got a few shots in, but then he paid for it in big time.
Yeah. Now, and spoilers for people who haven't read this comic from the 80s, but the second most popular graphic novel of all time. But doesn't that fight kind of ends with Bruce taking a dive, though, doesn't it? Like, that's the whole point.
Yeah, basically, he's basically letting Superman beat him, and then right at the last second, Robin hits him with an arrow with this thing Batman has made with kryptonite on it that weakens him enough Batman can beat him. That's where the infamous line, "I want you to remember my hand at your throat, the one man who beat you."
Right.
Of course, I've always said at that point, yeah, but Robin beat him, you didn't.
Yeah, and if we're being perfectly honest, like, the only reason you quote-unquote beat him is because you faked your death immediately after that. Because otherwise, you were really about 25 seconds away from not being able to beat him.
Exactly.
Like, it's really just, he was about one shake of his head away from clearing his thoughts and being like, alright, well, now I'm going to throw you into the sun.
Well, that kind of gets the wheels turning then, because I'm sure we were going to get to it, but we do see kryptonite in this trailer.
Oh, you know how stupid I think kryptonite is. It's the dumbest thing in the world. It's such a plot device, and it's overused, and I was so happy that there wasn't going to be any kryptonite in Man of Steel, and now I'm seeing it in Batman v Superman. And I get it, like, if you're going to have Batman v Superman, you need kryptonite, because there's no other way to even make it plausible. Although I have yet to see Batman in anything that we've seen so far use even something that I could remotely construe as being kryptonite-esque.
I hope they at least give the kryptonite a decent explanation. It isn't just a rock from space. I noticed there was a scene where they had Zod's corpse. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking maybe this is going to be something they've made, like testing things against his DNA to see what hurts it. That would at least give it more of a reason to exist than a rock fell down and it hurts him.
Well, my reasoning behind that, or my theory, I guess, is, in Man of Steel, when they have the terraformers on each end of the planet, if they were to do their job all the way through, they would have turned it into Krypton. And so even though it didn't finish, maybe at the direct center of those beams, maybe there's small amounts of it that were formed. That was just my thought. Maybe that's how they're gonna shoehorn it in there.
Yeah, they really better think that through long and hard, phrasing, before they actually put that in this movie, because I don't think there's really ever a good reason to introduce kryptonite into the Superman story, because as soon as you do that, then you go back to the 1950s and you got George Reeves, and well, that's nice and all. George Reeves is always just some gangster who found kryptonite, and this guy who found kryptonite, and who wants that?
Like you said, it comes off way too much as a plot device. It's like they can't find anything else to beat him. Look, here's a rock.
Yeah, and it's, anyway, usually used by some guy who he could have beaten in any way. So speaking of some guy, gentlemen, the Red Capes are coming. The Red Capes are coming.
Oh, man.
Oh, God.
So tell me, that was stupid, right? That wasn't just me, that was just dumb?
Look, it was, and
that
from
was
my perspective,
insanely stupid.
Yeah, I'm not even familiar with, the comics, or sadly, I'm not even that familiar with Lex Luthor as a character that well. Like, I know, like, the very basics, but it came off as very, very awkward. And maybe I'm completely wrong on what I know about Lex Luthor, but Lex Luthor, isn't he somewhat like, boating, like he's a very confident man, he's very stern. Yeah,
yes.
that didn't come off. Yeah.
Yeah, basically everything that Jesse Eisenberg is not.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, his performance, at least from what we've seen in the trailer, reminded me a lot more of the Riddler than it did Lex Luthor.
It does. I swear it does. A lot of people have said that. They said the Riddler or Calendar Man. And whoever said Calendar Man, I guess I could say, get off your high horse there, hipster, and just get on with Riddler like everybody else. Stop trying to show your knowledge of all the obscure villains. He acted like the Riddler would. Exactly like the Riddler would. And I don't get it. And plus we never saw a single shot of him bald. Now I know he gets bald eventually because they've released production shots and he's bald. But he's not bald in anything that we've seen so far. He's got long, flowing, luscious locks that really don't scream Lex Luthor to me.
I'm sort of hoping to go the Gene Hackman route and have all this time he's been wearing a wig. I could maybe get behind that at least.
I don't know. I heard at one point that, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm just making this up, but Bryan Cranston really, really wanted to play Lex Luthor and actively sought out the part.
Oh yeah, he lobbied for quite a while to get this role.
So maybe it's just me, but isn't he perfect for this part?
Absolutely.
I'd say so.
Yeah. So what's going on here? Like, we wanted Heisenberg, and we got Eisenberg.
I think maybe the Skype call cut off at the beginning. They didn't hear our whole sentence.
Yeah, I feel like I'm like probably the last person who's made that joke. Like I'm not clever enough to have been the first one, so I'm sure everyone's played that game before. But seriously though, I'm gonna say it again because it stands worth repeating. We wanted Heisenberg, not Eisenberg.
Well, the big thing is you want somebody who you can believe will go toe to toe with Cavill. And honestly, I see this guy, and the first role I ever saw him in was in Zombieland. So to me, he'll always be Columbus, Ohio. So I'm not buying it. I don't buy Columbus, Ohio is going to get in an Iron Man suit and kick Superman's ass.
Now, I will say, there was because I saw The Social Network. So there's a little bit of part of me this is like, I could see them maybe trying to go like the Zuckerberg route with Luthor, and so I was going to reserve it. And when I saw still images of him bald, and he does kind of look a little menacing bald, I'm like, well, we'll see, because I've said this before for a lot of times, and I've said it about Joker, and we'll talk about him in a little bit, is sometimes the still shots just don't do it justice, and you need to see it in motion to actually believe it.
And then the red capes were coming.
Yeah, and then the red capes were coming, and like, no, I'm not sold. I'm not buying any of it. It's all weird. It's all... him just being, little whiny kid like he plays in all his movies. I'm not seeing any... Might as well gotten Michael Cera to play Lex Luthor,
Well, with the amount of cast in this movie, hopefully he doesn't have that much screen time if it is as bad as we think it's going to be. I mean, the two main characters are in the title, right?
Right.
And I mean, you're going to have some roles from some of the other ones. I mean, it seems like Luthor's going to have a big part. It seems like he's the one that either found or made the kryptonite. Mm-hmm. Isn't he the one that's looking at it when you see the one and only shot of it? Yeah.
He's the one looking at it.
Right. So, yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe if they go down that route with the comic, he supplies it to Batman somehow, or Batman steals it. I don't know. And maybe he's just kind of like a minor role, more or less. I don't know. Well, here's hoping, right?
I hope so.
A bit of a fun fact about Michael Cera. It's rumored he's going to play the Riddler in the Batman standalone movie.
But here's the thing. That's perfect. The only thing that would have been more perfect, I think, is if Jesse Eisenberg played the Riddler. I think that would have been even more perfect. Yeah, this is just I'm still not buying Lex Luthor, and I think if you're trying to sell this whole universe, Lex Luthor is like the guy you have to get right,
Of course, who's loving this right now? Ben Affleck, because he's no longer the biggest question about this movie.
That's true. After Jesse Eisenberg came out, man, people just laid off Affleck. I will say though, and this kind of gave me a little bit more confidence in the movie, is that Affleck didn't want to play Batman, because even he was all like, I don't really know if I'm the best choice for Batman. And it wasn't until they kind of told him where they were going with the character that he was like, all right, I'll try this. And from what I hear, because they finished filming this thing in December, so it's got to be pretty close to being ready to go, I imagine, by this point. They're just doing
I'd like to think so, yeah.
Yeah, post-production stuff. I mean, it's got to be where we are, as of the time of recording, somewhere around, 8 months? 7 to 8 months away from this thing being taken out. I'm not doing the whole math in my head.
Oh,
but
yeah,
we're, less than a year. So, you got to imagine it's pretty close. I've heard that in some of the screenings, the internal screenings, it's gotten a lot of positive feedback, especially for Ben Affleck as Batman.
Oh yeah, matter of fact, the people who they screened it to, the higher ups at Warner Brothers, they came out and said they were so impressed. They've actually pushed back 2 of Ben Affleck's other movies he was going to be in, so that, quote, he can focus on Batman.
Yeah.
And of course, now granted, it's their company, so of course they're going to say this be like EA saying it's the best game ever, but they are trying to convince us this is going to be the best Batman ever, which it's got pretty big shoes to fill. But if he can, I think we're going to have an excellent movie on our hands.
It all hinges on Batman. I mean, that's how you got to sell this movie.
Well, this Batman.
Yeah, this Batman.
Because we've established Superman, at least in this movie. And I actually didn't know that about Ben Affleck, that he apparently didn't want this role. So if they were selling it to him, I think probably one of the major points they're selling is this isn't another origin story. That's done. This is Batman he's already retired the cape, essentially, I think is what they're trying to get at.
Yeah.
And now he's jumping back in the ring, so you kind of almost have a fresh start there.
Yeah.
But almost with the backstory already filled in.
Right. And I think, that's how you almost have to do it. Now, I think it's gonna create some confusion in that people, the Nolan films are very fresh in our minds. And I'm a little bit worried that people are going to think like he's just picking up where like Chris Bale left off, and I mean they can't do that. I just don't think that's right. So you have to find some way to make sure that you know that this is not that Batman, and I don't really know if the mainstream audience is that savvy to be able to pick up on that.
Well, you know what I never thought of until just now for some reason is that obviously a huge spoiler for what God, why can't I remember the last title? Is it The Dark Knight? The Dark Knight?
Dark Knight Rises.
Dark Knight Rises. So at the very end of the movie, you kind of get the inclination that Robin, or not Robin, but he's never confirmed as Robin, but why can't
the Goose, help us out.
Is it Gordon or Levitt?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Gordon-Levitt, that's
yes.
it.
Yeah, that he's going to pick up kind of... Well, actually, that kind of throws a wrench in my theory. I thought he was... They kind of implied that he's going to pick up the mantle of Batman, not Robin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
That kind of... I was going to say, in the trailer, you kind of see what appears like Robin's suit with Joker's writing on it, kind of implying he died. So I was thinking maybe they tie it together by saying, oh, Levitt became Robin, but he died, and that's when this Batman now retired, who is essentially still the same, but my theory just got thrown out the window, so
yeah.
never mind on that.
Now here's something that's interesting, though. So we see, the Robin, and it's the suit's like in a case, like the one that happened when Jason Todd died. And there's Joker writing all on it, like, haha, joke's on you. I mean, I guess, how did the writing get on the suit? Wouldn't that be in the Batcave? Or, I mean, I felt like it's a good visual to show you, like, oh, see, check it out, the Joker. And, of course, I'm just assuming it's the Joker, because who else would have written it?
Well, the ha, especially. But what do you mean exactly? I mean, I'm assuming...
How does... Because there's two different times we see the Joker sending a message to Batman in the trailer. One is on the Robin suit, which, if it was in its, like, display case in the Batcave or whatever, I would imagine would not have Joker writing on it. And then the other time is Batman gets a letter where the building falls down, and you have, like, the headline from the newspaper that says, like, dozens killed at Wayne Building, and it says, you didn't save your family, in, like, the Joker red weird lettering, and which, again, I'm presuming is the Joker.
The way I'm thinking about it is the suit in particular. I'm thinking if they're going to do the death in the family storyline, which is what I'm assuming they're going for with that look, maybe that's how he found Robin, so he just kept the suit as it was.
That's what I was thinking.
I guess maybe. So then, who sent them the letter saying you couldn't save your family? Are we maybe meant to believe that the Joker knows who Batman is?
I mean, it could even be Lex Luthor using it to try to get. Maybe he wants Batman to come back. Maybe because he's supposed to be incredibly intelligent. Maybe he figured out Bruce Wayne is Batman, so he can stop the Red Capes, even if no one else can.
I guess.
It's a stretch, I'll admit.
Yeah. All right. So another casting that kind of got lost in the waves there of the trailer we saw was Gal. I'm gonna say Gadot, and I have no idea how you actually say that.
I think it's Gadot.
Gal
Gadot. Mm-hmm.
Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I guess here's my issue is, and when I see Clark Kent, I know that's Clark Kent, and when I even saw Affleck as Bruce Wayne, I knew right away that was Bruce Wayne. But the Gal Gadot shots, I'm all like, who is that person? And it wasn't until they showed her in the armor, like, oh yeah, that was probably Wonder Woman.
Well, that's the thing, is I think you really only see her in two shots. You see her one in the armor and one. You see her without the armor in the first shot, and it's just some woman, I think, stepping into a limo. So you're like, okay, I don't know who that's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. But then you see the Wonder Woman outfit. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know anything about her. I think that might be a good thing for her for some of these characters, but. Yeah, I don't know. And I've heard, I guess they're trying to make it so that she might be Bruce Wayne's love interest in this movie, and maybe that's why she's getting into the limo. I don't know, maybe if that's supposed to imply something, but...
Yeah, I'm okay with her being Bruce Wayne's love interest. I think that's probably more interesting than anything else they could have come up with.
Agreed.
Now I will say in going back and watching the trailer again, they showed a shot of Gal Gadot wearing like a white jumpsuity type thing, which looked a lot like the suit that Wonder Woman was wearing back in the 70s when they tried to like update her outfit a little bit, and it looked awful and terrible and stupid in the 70s, but it was at least a nice throwback to, well, at least she's wearing something Wonder Woman-y.
See, to me, she's the biggest mystery because honestly, we don't know how she's going to play the character. So we don't know what take they're going to take on Wonder Woman, how they're going to have her play it. So really, till the movie comes out, we're all just waiting on Godot.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't have a single speaking line that I could think of in the trailer.
No, not that I remember.
Unless you count that scream as a line.
Yeah. Now, I'll say, like, in the armor, like, in motion, I think she looks fine as Wonder Woman.
Yeah, the guys who designed the armor and whatnot, yeah, they did a great job.
I will say, though, I saw stills of the armor from Comic-Con, and she's in heels, like actual almost high heel Amazon boots, and I question the practicality of that, although I'm not going to tell her to stop. Somebody else may.
I figure if they can get away with it in Jurassic World, why not Batman v Superman?
Yeah. But other than that, and that's such a tiny thing, and who knows how much of that actually carries over into the film or whatnot, but I like the suit. Now, I've said this before, and I'm on record, and I will reiterate that my ideal Wonder Woman looks basically like Xena Warrior Princess with a couple of colors changed.
I would agree on that one.
Yeah, so this is closer to that direction than we've ever seen it done before. But yeah, so I'm okay with that. I don't know. The only thing I've seen Gal Gadot in is the Fast and the Furious movies, and I wasn't so much a fan from that. So that was my real concern walking, because I know a lot of people were all like, "Oh, she's too small to play, or she's not built enough." And I'm like, well, people, you can train. Like Affleck didn't look like he could play Batman when they cast him, and then I saw some pictures of him from set, and I'm like, well, now he looks like he could rip a man's head off.
Right. So, I don't even think Cavill was even that built before he did Man of Steel. Like that is something he trained for, like you said.
Yeah, you trained for it. So I'm not gonna sit here and be all like Gal Gadot's too skinny. I'm like, well, you know what? Gal Gadot might be too skinny, but she looked pretty hardcore in that trailer. So
Oh yeah.
So Alfred Pennyworth being played by Jeremy Irons. I don't have anything to say other than Jeremy Irons looks like he's only about maybe 5 years older than Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
He has had some serious work done in this movie universe.
Yeah. No, I love Jeremy Irons. I mean, I love him. I've seen him in a ton of stuff, and he's phenomenal. And I was actually really excited because I think he's going to do a really good job. But again, he doesn't look like somebody who could have been Bruce Wayne's butler when he was 8 years old. He looks like somebody who would have been maybe 16 when Bruce Wayne was 8 years old.
But his looks aside, or his age, I guess I should say, he does seem like he's going to have a huge role in this, even if it's not that much screen time. But he's going to be the voice of reason, it sounds like, for Batman. I think he says in the line, like, he's not your enemy. Yeah. He understands what's going on. It seems like Batman either might be blinded by rage, or he's being fed lies by, like Goose was saying to Lex Luthor. He's just not seeing the whole picture. He's kind of lost his detective ways, maybe.
Yeah.
I swear, Alfred is always like the voice of the intelligence in all of these movies. I swear, every Batman movie, it's like he's the one who says, Bruce, you're kind of fucking up here. Can we? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to drop an F-bomb there.
I gotta get that now.
Who says, Bruce, you're always messing up here. Let me help you out with that.
Yeah. So I just looked it up while Goose was talking, and so Irons is 66 and Affleck is 43. So that's technically possible that a very, very young Alfred Pennyworth was the butler for Batman. Although I would prefer him because I like the Alfred Pennyworth who's like used to be Spec Ops and that kind of thing. When they play him, like, he was former British, whatever their Spec Ops is, and I can't remember. And whoever played Call of Duty Modern Warfare would probably know. SAG, is that right?
No, but you're close. It's gonna bother me. It's I think you got it. It's something SG.
Yeah.
But I didn't even know that was that part of his background from the
his background from the comics is he does have a military background, and then I think at some point they did straight up say like, no, he was SAS.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, he was straight up. He was Spec Ops, and they come up with some explanations for why he comes back. Like sometimes it's because he doesn't want to do war anymore, or because his dad worked for the Wayne family, so he felt some connection to them or whatnot. But he definitely gets played as like capable, and in some instances more capable than others. Like in Gotham especially, probably one of my favorite instances of Alfred is there was one scene in Gotham where like assassins are coming for Bruce Wayne, and Alfred just stops the assassins, like straight up beats one of them down and takes his gun and starts like, and it's more than one, and Alfred basically pushes them all away. And I think at one point Harvey Bullock says like, well, you're pretty capable for the driver, and he just looks at me and says, I'm not the driver, I'm the butler. It was a scene that sold me on that series, so because I was a little
agreed.
iffy.
It was a great scene.
Yeah, the indignation, like, well, I'm the butler. Of course I can repel assassins. I'm not a driver.
Right. Well, bottom line, I think we were all in agreement that he's going to be good in this movie. I don't think we have anything to worry about necessarily.
He's good in any movie he's in. I mean, that was I like. We don't get to see much of him in motion. We just get to hear him talking. But of course, he's good. So nothing really more I can say there.
Even horrible movies he's in, he makes them good.
Yes, that's true. All right. So real quickly before we move on to Suicide Squad, we've got I've seen some shots of Aquaman from this movie.
I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah, all I've seen are stills. I will say though, I was excited when I heard Jason Momoa was going to play Aquaman, and I saw the stills and like he actually makes Aquaman look like not a joke.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go toe to toe with him.
Yeah, go ahead, go tell him he's the worthless one.
I would not be cracking wise at this particular Aquaman.
Oh, look who talks to fish! I'm gonna go over here now. Yeah, I don't know how they're gonna use him. It feels like the movie's getting a little crowded. So hopefully maybe he's not going to have a huge part, or maybe I don't know. But
he'll be after the credits, just walk up. Hey guys, it's me.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. It's going to be a post-credit scene because I was going to say they showed that still of him like so long ago, and unless he was going to be in this movie, then you would assume the next time he's going to be seen as the next movie. I don't know if they're actually calling it Justice League or something like that, but that's quite some distance off, right? So why announce him that early if you're not going to see him for years and years?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I think I'm extremely excited to actually see him. I just would really love to see him do some stuff because I think, and you've seen it in the comic books from time to time, is that you get the right creative team on Aquaman. You get somebody who's actually makes it a labor of love, and they can make Aquaman pretty hardcore and really entertaining. It's, when he's just the smiley, I wear orange, I talk to fish, like, nobody wants that. But when you make him like, I am the king of the seven seas, and if you threaten my ocean, you will deal with me, and I am a warrior, then you get a decent character. Then you get somebody who, might be a little mad at Superman for leaving an alien terraforming machine at the bottom of the ocean where he didn't belong,
I like to think he's the one who broke up the oil rain that they had Man of Steel. I like to think that was Aquaman who was bringing in the seals to destroy the oil refinery.
Yeah.
That'd actually be a nice tie-in if they make it work.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, is anything else we want to talk about Batman v Superman before we push off to Suicide Squad?
No, I think you got it covered.
Yeah. All right, so Suicide Squad, or as DC likes to call it, our Guardians of the Galaxy. Please see this movie. So, I mean, there's now some of these people are like straight up, right from the comic books, always on the Suicide Squad, so you knew they were going to be in this movie. And number one is Deadshot. I mean, you can't have a Suicide Squad without Deadshot.
Yeah, it's physically impossible to do that. I mean, admittedly you could, but it wouldn't work.
Yeah. So in this case, Deadshot's being played by Will Smith. I'm surprised by the casting because it's a little unorthodox. However, you know what? I like Will Smith, so I'm certainly not going to knock his ability to play it. And when he wears the costume, Will Smith does look like Deadshot, and he's Will Smith's an entertaining actor, so I'd love to see what he'd do to him.
Yeah, he deserves a redeeming shot. He hasn't been doing so hot in some of his last couple of movies, so I'm willing to give him a chance with this role.
Yeah. Now this is now
Yeah,
the character.
after Cypher Rage, he needs something to bring him back.
Yeah, the character's been played a couple other times in live action. I think there was Deadshot was on Smallville in the 10th season. I didn't see the episode. I've only ever seen like a still shot. Didn't super look like Deadshot, other than the eyepiece. And then he was very famously in Arrow. Yeah, who played him in Arrow? Do you remember?
I haven't seen the show.
I can't remember off the top of my head. I have to look it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up right now while I continue to soliloquy on Deadshot. So he's played by Michael Rowe. See how fast I can do that?
The power
Michael
of
Rowe in Arrow. And the thing about Michael Rowe is, first of all, he didn't have a mustache or a beard or anything, so that's wrong. And I mean, he did have the big giant eyepiece, so for whatever that's worth. Actually, my least favorite part of the character is the big eyepiece, so the fact that that's the thing that always keeps surviving bothers me. And I kind of like that when I see Will Smith without the mask on, he doesn't have a big old eyepiece on.
Yeah, I like the fact that they made it part of essentially his uniform, not something he has all the time.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. And I don't know, the thing is, the guy in Arrow, well, I like what they did with him in Arrow, and especially in his finale episode, and I won't spoil that for you, but I thought it was a really great character arc for him. I don't want that to be how I remember Deadshot, so I kind of want Will Smith to bring something new to this. Although, and this ruffles some feathers, and we might as well kind of touch on that as we talk about Suicide Squad, as we've seen the Suicide Squad on Arrow, and we basically are being told, yeah, that's cute, this is a completely different Suicide Squad, these two shows and this movie, they're not connected in any way.
Well, that's always comforting. I haven't seen them in the show, but what, did they not have like the greatest rep? I guess, or they're not really portrayed that well.
The thing is the Suicide Squad, they're not portrayed. I wouldn't say not well. I've enjoyed what they're in, but they kind of just grab a couple of people and say, "Oh, here we go, Suicide Squad," and that's the Suicide Squad. But they're not really to the forefront. They don't strike you as somebody who could be out saving the world or doing whatever they're doing.
To be honest, in Arrow, it honestly felt a little forced.
Yeah,
like they were they were calling them the Suicide Squad just to get the name out there.
Yeah, some people really want the universes connected, and I'm of two minds on it. On the one hand, I mean, you're trying to put together a Justice League, and you already have an established Flash and an established Green Arrow, and you even now have an established Atom. So you're halfway there if you just include the TV shows and say, yeah, these count too. But on the other hand, though, like the budget that you have and the characters you're able to establish and bring into a TV show are not always going to be the same caliber of person that you would really want if you were going to do this on the big screen. Now maybe Steve Amell and who plays Flash? Gaston something? Guy Gaston? Somebody help me with that.
Yeah, right. Hang on, let me get it here.
Yeah, I feel bad. I like the show, but I don't know who plays him. Grant Gustin. So, I got the quick fingers here. I like Grant Gustin, and he sold me on the Flash. I'm on board, but at the same time, it's is he really going to be your big screen Flash? Can I see Guy Gustin standing next to Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill and being a titan among them? I don't know. I really don't know.
I see your point, but at the same token, do they need to be? Like, could they be a part of the same universe, but you don't necessarily ever see them you never see that Flash and Affleck as Batman in the movie, but they are in the same universe, I mean, would that...
Well, if it was Arrow, I could say absolutely. But the Flash is like, he's one of the big names, He's right up there with Green Lantern, and who they're also not really including in this whole universe, and that's probably for the best. But I would say for the Flash, especially because now the Flash in the show is considered to be like a younger, less developed Flash, like wasn't quite... He's not quite on par with being a hero in a world where there is a Superman and a Batman. where, maybe if, you have a guy who plays it, and maybe you play the whole thing like, okay, so the Flash happened, but then he became older, and that's when all this stuff's going on. Oh, maybe I can buy that, but...
Well, they've cast a fairly young actor for the film Flash, Ezra Miller.
I don't even know who that is.
I don't either, and I'm looking at his IMDb page.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, where would I have seen him from?
Basically, the only thing I've seen that we would have ever seen him from is he was on the TV show Royal Pains, if any of you watched that, I guess.
I do watch Royal Pains, yes.
Okay, well, if you've watched that, he plays Tucker Bryant on that show.
Oh, he plays Tucker. I'm upset I know who that is, by the way. Like, very angry, but yeah, he was in the first episode too. He's playing the Flash?
Yeah, he's going to be the DC Movies Flash.
Oh, well then that's stupid. They should have just got the TV show Flash. If we're going to make it a kid, might as well just get the guy we know.
We just totally yanked the rug out of Greg's whole awesome theory.
Yeah. Yeah, no, now I think it's dumb. Yeah. All right.
Oh, well.
It's almost like DC wants to keep them separate so that way if one fails, it doesn't drag them both down. Maybe they don't have enough confidence in one or the other.
I will say that's probably a good idea, because if Suicide Squad bombs, you want to at least still have like your Arrow universe out there.
Oh yes.
So let's see who else we have on our Suicide Squad now. So we got Rick Flag, who's going to be in this movie. It looks like a lot of this is kind of focused and centered around Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. Now I'm liking her as Harley Quinn. I like her look and the voice. She's a little too emo, and I don't like the suit or costume or whatever she wears.
Yeah, I got that vibe too.
Yeah. I mean, no, listen, I don't want her to be wearing, a red and black Harley Quinn outfit. But I kind of wanted her to at least be clothed. You know what I mean? Like, she just...
almost like a movie version of what they did in
New 52.
Right, something like that.
Which was kind of ridiculous. Like, and listen, I'm not even sitting there saying, like, she should be completely covered up. I'm not trying to go that route at all. I'm just saying when you show what she's wearing, and it's basically booty shorts and a tank top, I'm shrugging my shoulders going, like, I'm not buying her as a part of even a haphazard squad like this. I'm not buying it. I'm really not.
Not when you're also in a team with somebody like, for example, we were just talking about Deadshot, where he's wearing what looks like full military grade armor.
Yeah.
It feels like she should at least have something that matches the theme.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly there. No, listen, she doesn't need to be wearing armor. She doesn't. But I don't know. I think there were better ways to go. Now, I like the hair. I think that's pretty neat. She looks pretty pale, so that's cool. I just kind of, I don't know. I had higher hopes than what they actually went with.
Yeah, I was hoping they'd go a little bit more toward, I don't want to say comic booky, but that's basically what I'm thinking, comic booky.
Yeah, I would kind of say I wanted her to be a little bit more street than I don't. I don't have words for it. All right, people. I just don't like it.
Well, if we do we only really see her like when she's in her cell, right? Like we don't necessarily, and maybe I'm wrong, but we don't really see her out on the street like kind of doing her thing. So maybe there's
we see a little bit. Now they released a production still, which is what I'm kind of basing this on. And in the production still, where they show like the whole squad together, like she's definitely. She's wearing like looks like maybe a tank top and like a Letterman jacket from high school and some studded booty shorts and what I guess look like black and white lace up specialized heel boots. I don't know.
I think I know the still you're referring to. Yeah, so it's still
it looks ridiculous, and it doesn't. I mean, listen, from the waist up, I'm buying Harley Quinn. From the waist down, I'm seeing stripper. I don't know. I just... And I would even probably say, like, I think maybe the Letterman jacket looks kind of... there was not good. They could have done better. There were better ways to go, and they didn't.
The thing that weirds me out about that, when you see the whole cast photo, is that so many of them look like almost identical to their comic book counterparts, and then you just see her in there, and it throws you off.
Yeah, I mean, Will Smith is basically wearing a pretty comic-accurate Deadshot costume, to include a mask, a white mask with the red eyepiece on it, you know what I mean?
Right.
And you have Katana, who's wearing the mask with the rising sun on it. I mean, there are people you recognize right away. I mean, Killer Croc kind of looks Killer Croc-y. I don't know what other way to put it. Captain Boomerang sort of looks like Captain Boomerang. But then on top of all of that, then you got Harley Quinn. Now, she shouldn't look like she belongs. I get that. And I think there are some tweaks to this costume that I probably would have been more on board with. And again, I haven't really gotten a chance to actually see the costume in full motion. I haven't really seen her do a whole lot with it. So maybe in motion it comes off a lot better, and I don't know. So I probably shouldn't judge it from a still, but from the still I didn't buy it.
Maybe the acting of the character will make up for it. Who knows?
It might. Maybe it'll grow on me, but for right now I just don't like it. I just don't get it. I don't know. That's all I can say. I just don't get it. Who else we got in our Suicide Squad here? We got, so Adam Beach is playing Slipknot. I know jack all about Slipknot, but I like Adam Beach. I was a big fan of his stint on Law & Order SVU, so good for him. That's all.
Agree. I know nothing of the characters, but I agree. I'm hoping. Yeah. I liked him there, so I'm hoping he'll do well here.
Yeah.
Same boat.
Jay Hernandez as El Diablo. I don't know who either of those people are. So, congratulations, Mr. Hernandez, on your selection as El Diablo in Suicide Squad film. This is I know these are, especially when you're looking at this, like this was the Guardians of the Galaxy, and I didn't know who the Guardians of the Galaxy were, so I'm not saying you need to be people I recognize, but it's one thing where I'm just kind of savvy on Marvel Comics, and I really wouldn't have recognized a lot of the Guardians, but man, I read a lot of DC comic books. And so if I look at this character like, man, I have no idea who that is. Something's wrong. Something is definitely wrong. Anyway, he's playing his, I looked it up. He's playing his new 52 incarnation of El Diablo. I guess, okay, sure, why not? I don't know anything about it. It gives him a blank slate. I don't have to bring in any baggage on El Diablo with me into this movie. You can just tell me what he is and what he does, and I will just believe you. Cara Delevingne, hook it on phonics, worked for me. Okay. She plays Enchantress. I actually know who Enchantress is. I don't remember her being a part of the Suicide Squad. There was a string of comic books that were out in the day, and I don't know if they ever got their own line or she was always just in some other comic book, but like she was with a lot of like the more mystic superheroes got together and formed their own group, and they were, I think, called the Shadow Pact, if that sounds right to the listening audience out there. She might have been in the Suicide Squad, or she might have, because I don't think they would just make people up for the Suicide Squad. I'm assuming they picked people who were actually in the squad at some point. But
artistic liberties, you never know.
Yeah, but
yeah, they brought her into a series. It was called Task Force X. And that's what the series was. They brought her in, and then it became the Suicide Squad. This was in '93, it looks like.
All right, yeah. So that might have been just slipped under the radar. But the only thing that's really kind of odd about this is that, like, up until now, people have had powers for reasons. She is straight up magic. There's no real way around that. She's magical. She doesn't have great abilities. She's not crazy. She didn't have an accident. She didn't train herself to the peak of human perfection. She didn't come from another planet. She's magic. So what you're basically saying when you include Enchantress, you're saying, by the way, folks, in our little movie world here, magic is real.
Well, I could be wrong, but isn't there some form of, and I get it's not the same, I don't want to say universe, but going back to the Nolan series with the League of Shadows, isn't there some kind of, hint towards magic there, or there's some, you know what I mean? There's some.
There's a hint of it, but they play it like they play it off like we make it seem like we're magic, but we're really not.
Right, I'll give you that, but it does seem like it's there, even if it's not kind of in your face, which I don't know if that's what they're going to do with this character Enchantress, but yeah. I would assume they would have to. Given her powers,
I don't see how you get around it, but I mean, sure. Well, why not? We'll see how they do it. I bought into a tree and a talking raccoon, so I really can at this point be dismissive of anything.
Very true.
At this point, I'm willing to jump in on pretty much anything if it works.
All right, so as Captain Boomerang, or Boomerang, depending on when you look it up, but I prefer Captain Boomerang, because why not? So Captain Boomerang in Suicide Squad is played by, I think his name is Jai Courtney or Jay Courtney. I've looked up. He's been in a bunch of stuff that I don't recognize, but he was in Spartacus: Blood and Sand, and he played Varro, who was Spartacus's buddy that he had to kill because that other woman got some way to make him have to kill him in an exhibition round, and Batiatus let him do it. And so what I'm really getting at here is that he's also been played. The character was played by Nick Ahmad Tarabe, who played Asher, also from Spartacus. So there's a common link among Captain Boomerang, is that he's being played by actors from Spartacus.
I had no idea that was the same guy who's playing Captain Boomerang.
Yep.
I'll be dipped.
Yeah. I have been recently watching Spartacus, so I mean, like, he's fresh in my mind. So when I saw him, like, oh, that's Asher, and I didn't like Asher.
No, I was very happy. Spoiler when he got his.
Yeah, he got his head cut off.
No, let's not beat around the bush.
Yeah, he got his head cut off.
Now where I knew Captain Boomerang from was in the movie just came out, Terminator Genesis. He played Kyle Reese.
Jai Courtney was just in.
I had never made the connection that was Varro.
Yep, that was Varro. And I liked him as Varro. That was sad when he had to be killed because, I can't remember what's her name got him killed.
Yeah, I forget her name, but yeah.
Lucinda, I think.
Yeah, he was definitely a great character on that show. Mm-hmm. And even in later stuff, Terminator in particular, he shows he's a great actor. So I think he's going to do well as Captain Boomerang.
Yeah. And so that's I don't know. I like Asher as Captain Boomerang. I think I like Varro as Captain Boomerang, and why not? And as long as we're talking about connections, homeboy who played Crixus is Deathstroke in Arrow.
So that's where the Spartacus actors are everywhere.
Yeah, Spartacus actors they get around.
They've invaded the DCU,
and I'm okay with it. Quite frankly. I'm okay with it. I was a fan of that show. I love that series. That's a hero talk waiting to happen. Let's see. I got Karen Fukuhara as Katana. Not the same Katana as we've seen. I like the Katana from Arrow, but if you're gonna go with someone different, I think maybe you get rid of a lot of the dead weight on the character. Now I've looked her up. She has one film in her IMDb, and that's Suicide Squad. I know nothing about her.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she's definitely what I would call an unknown.
Yeah. Now, if you read her bio, it says things like she was a host for World Sports Major League Baseball in Hong Kong, and she was on the Disney Channel in Japan. So
didn't even know they had a Disney Channel in Japan.
Apparently they do. Does that count? Do we take a shot now? Is that close?
Oh yeah, take a shot, people.
That's as close as I've gotten so far, and I really haven't looked. But all right, so. I don't really want to talk about Suicide Squad anymore in terms of actors. Viola Davis playing Amanda Waller, I think... No, you only get to see her like ever so briefly eating some steak, but I think she's perfect. Absolutely perfect.
As soon as I saw her, I was like, that's her. They got it down.
I have seen Waller done wrong. I don't like who plays her on Arrow. I don't remember the actress's name. I didn't even like Angela Bassett from Green Lantern. But Viola Davis, in that one scene, I'm like, yep, no, I'm sold. This is Amanda Waller. This is who I want.
Yeah, the second they showed her, I was like, yeah, you got it.
Yep.
Because that's a character that you either got or you don't.
Right, got it. Perfect casting. You could not have done a better job. I'm disturbed it took them that long to figure it out because
better late than never.
Yeah, because she's gonna kill it as Amanda Waller, and I hope she gets one of those good deals where she's in like a ton of movies. I want to see her in like the Batman movies and any of the Justice League movies. She needs to be in more. I think she's perfect.
Oh hell yes.
Yeah. So I don't really know what the plot of this movie is going to be, but I have to imagine it's going to base a whole lot on the Joker. And in this trailer, I actually got to see my first Jared Leto as the Joker in full color, in full motion. And I admit, I saw the still shot, I hated it. I didn't get the tattoos. I'm like, I don't know if I'm buying this character at all. I like it much better in motion. And his laugh is just about as perfect as I've heard anybody get the laugh, with a possible exception of Mark Hamill.
Yeah, whenever I saw it in the trailer, I was much more impressed than I was in the still. When the still came out, I'm going to be honest, I hated it. I immediately was like, what are you doing? You've messed it up. It's not going to work. But then as soon as we saw the trailer, I was like, and I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, I completely agree with you guys. I wasn't sold on the still, but when I saw it in action, especially as you said, the laugh, that really sold me. But you know what was interesting? I wish I could probably find the image if I looked for it. But they were going through and they showed the four major Jokers. So now you got him. God, I'm horrible with actors' names. Why can't I think of Joker from the Nolan series?
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger, Jack Nicholson, and
Cesar Romero?
yes. There's an image, and it showed, like they're pretty much all in era, and it said this was the drug that was popular in that era, like cocaine for the Nicholson era, heroin for the Heath Ledger era, and I can't remember what they said, but it kind of made sense in that regard. Like the Joker kind of matched the time in regards to the drugs, if that makes any kind of sense. But
yeah, Romero was LSD,
Yeah, that makes
Nicholson
sense,
was cocaine, Ledger was heroin, and the new one is meth.
yes, I mean, if
Yeah,
that's how you're
you're
gonna
right.
base your
After
yeah, if
breaking-
you that's how you're gonna base your Jokers, that makes sense to me, and it looks like Jared Leto's got it down.
I have never seen that, and if you search for Joker drugs, you just get Heath Ledger's death reports, because I just tried that. But yeah, now that you say it, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, I could see that. So I just learned this, though, while I was perusing through news on Suicide Squad, is that Oprah Winfrey was considered for the role of Amanda Waller.
Oh, I'm glad they didn't go down that
Yeah,
route.
wow.
Never
Dodged a
would've-
bullet there.
Never in a million years.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So I'm liking Jared Leto, and I think, and I've watched a trailer a couple of times, and maybe I might be wrong, or these might be two different shots spliced together, but I think the person he's torturing in that first scene, I think that's supposed to be Harley Quinn.
Yeah, that's the impression I got. Which, if they
Yeah,
go down that
that's
route,
what-
I would really enjoy that. You kind of see how that character was made. Like, she wasn't always crazy,
Right. She's
So-
supposed to be the doctor, for crying out loud. And
Right.
I feel like Harley Quinn as a character never really gets a fair shake because everything she does is so centered around the Joker. And what I would really like to do, and maybe this movie can do a decent job of it finally, is to kind of separate them from this weird relationship they have, and you kind of turn it as she turns against the Joker and she can finally like not have connection to him. And I think I would really appreciate that. But we'll see. Now, we do get to see them at one point driving in the Joker's Lamborghini that he could afford somehow.
Hey, meth is very profitable.
I guess, yeah. And a purple one at that, with Batman hanging off the top of the thing. So I guess Batman's in this movie, which makes you wonder. So where is this in relation to, like, Dawn of Justice? Does this movie take place before Dawn of Justice? Were we seeing a flashback to something that would have happened? Or are we seeing just Batman? Is the opening scene of the film Batman bringing Harley Quinn in? And then the Suicide Squad works from there? I don't know.
Well, I
It's
haven't
hard
seen
to
the
say.
trailer.
The rumor mill is all over the place. Some people have come out and said that the movie takes place. It's like set in like the late 80s, early 90s. It's like this is right before Batman retires. I've heard other things that say it takes place after Batman v Superman. So it's really hard to tell where in the timeline this takes place.
Well, I just have to say, based on if they say it's happening in the 80s and 90s, then meth wasn't very popular and Joker should look totally different.
Very, very true. The other thing I was going to get at is I haven't watched that trailer. I should have watched it before I came on here. But when Batman's on top of the Lamborghini, it's not like the full decked out like steel combat armor that he's going against Superman with, right? It's more of I don't want to say typical, but it's what you see Affleck looking at in the Superman.
Yeah, it's
or
the normal
Batman.
bat suit. Yeah, it's not armor.
Right. So I think that should be pretty telling. If it's got to be either the very beginning of Batman v Superman, or I think it's more likely that it takes place in the past at some point, and maybe Suicide Squad, or there's a flashback of Joker killing Robin. So that there's that kind of tie into it. But my money's on it being set in the past at some point.
Yeah.
Well, even in the Batman v Superman trailer, we see him in his regular suit. When he's fighting Superman, it appears someone who has a red laser, so I assume Superman.
Mhm.
And then he's in his regular suit, shoots the grappling hook, and then dumps out of the way right before the blast hits the building. So I'm not
You
sure maybe...
that's not.
That
You
was
sure that's not
definitely
the
in the
full-on
regular
armor?
suit. Yeah, that was the
Okay.
regular
Yeah.
suit.
Okay.
Incidentally, though, Superman was straight up trying to kill Batman there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
good point.
clearly they're taking right from him snapping Zod's neck was just the beginning. He's going kill streak on this.
Although I think I saw Batman snapping somebody's neck in that trailer too. So I don't know. We're in a universe where people are just snapping people's necks like it's candy.
Snapping necks and cashing checks.
That's
Yeah,
right.
as a matter of fact, if I know we're jumping back to the Batman v Superman movie, but in that trailer, wasn't there? It looked like a dead criminal on the ground that had like the Bat logo like seared into his skin.
He wasn't dead.
Like-
He was very much alive.
Okay,
But yeah,
okay.
he definitely was branded with the Bat logo, which I think is pretty cool, even though it seems a little hardcore, but I could see Batman going like, he's alive, isn't he? And now he's got a reminder to stop breaking the law.
It's almost kind of like they've taken the Batman and they've kind of put a little bit of, I don't want to say horror elements into it, but they've made him more of, he's not just using fear, he's actually using terror. Criminals are literally terrified of
They don't want to
Batman.
be branded with a bat.
Right.
And
Yeah,
I don't-
he's not leaving them on the symbol like he does in other movies. He's literally marking them.
yeah, you're one of my children now. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. So we'll see. So I don't know. They gone a little hardcore. Rolling it back into Suicide Squad though. I kind of don't want it to be a prequel. At least I'm okay if the scene that they're showing that we saw in the trailer of Batman on top of the Lamborghini, if that's our opening scene and maybe that took place before like the Batman v Superman, like when Batman was still active, and then Harley Quinn's been in jail this whole time, and now they finally get a lead on the Joker, and that's kind of how you establish her in jail. I'm okay with that, but I don't want them to get tricky or cute with the storylines. I want them to be like, if this movie came after Batman v Superman, I want it to have happened after Batman v Superman.
Right, yeah, I hope they take a simple plot route with it. It makes it cleaner, easier. You don't have to tie it into that many things with the other movies. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. And this is a pretty quick and easy way to establish a lot of the villains gallery right now, because this is the movie where you can do it. You can establish a lot of these people and get them out there. And I think it's a little crazy though that we're establishing Joker in a not Batman movie.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, has there even been a Suicide Squad movie before?
No.
No, this will be the first time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess if you don't count like animated movies, because there was definitely a directed to DVD animated movie for Suicide Squad, which I think was a tie-in to the Arkham series of games.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. No, I've seen it, so I don't know why I'm saying I think. I just don't remember exactly what the story was there or what it tied into. But there was an animated one, which wasn't bad. I mean, it wasn't great, but I mean, these things aren't Citizen Kane. They are what they are. But it at least entertained me.
Something I do give DC credit for. At least their animated department does seem to do a decent job.
Yeah, that'll give them. All right. So, other than that, we don't know a ton about Suicide Squad. They do they kind of pull an Avengers 2 where they play that like high pitched sweet song there. Now they don't have something as cool as I've Got No Strings on Me, but they kind of play like the Joke's on You or something. It felt very reminiscent of the Avengers 2 trailer to me.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, I got that. Hey, did we skip over Killer Croc as far as his casting?
I think we mentioned him. Yeah, we definitely skipped over him. Played by an actor whose name I cannot possibly listen. I can't even get.
I saw that and I was like, I'll let Greg handle that one.
Yeah, look, the only thing I wanted to say about him, and again, not being as probably familiar with the comics and the lore as you two are, I know him. I think from the popular animated series. And of course the Arkham Knight games or the Arkham games, and I mean he seems more human, in the games and the comics, like he's got to be like what 15 feet tall maybe,
right.
Just massive, and yeah, he looks massive here, but he looks like he's still probably like 6-7 feet tall,
right,
maybe at the most. So it seemed a little odd.
In the comic books, it's never consistent how they portray Killer Croc. Sometimes he's portrayed as a big, giant, mutated, huge monster, and sometimes he's portrayed as he's basically a dude, but just has scaly skin and sharp teeth.
Okay.
So it really kind of comes down to...
Yeah, they're kind of all over the place with him.
However the writer wants him to be, that's how he's going to be. So in this case, I'm like, and this is how the writer wanted him to be.
Okay, works for me.
Yeah, so the guy, I'm gonna give this one shot, and I apologize right now. Edwali Aknu Badjize. All right, I apologize to everyone I just offended with that. I am so sorry. He's been in stuff I've seen though. He was in The Mummy Returns. He played the Lochna, he was the mummy's kind of right hand man person. He was in The Bourne Identity, but I don't remember his character from that. He was on Lost for people who watch Lost. He's been on Game of Thrones for people who watch Game of Thrones. I remember him. He was heavy duty in the G.I. Joe movie, The Rise of Cobra, which when we do the hero talk on that, I got some fun stories for. And he was in Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah, so he's got quite a bit under his belt.
Yeah, I can't think who he played in Thor: The Dark World. I think he played
He played Algrim / Curse.
Oh, the nasty dude that killed Thor's mom.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I can't believe that didn't come up when I tried to pronounce his name on the Hero Talk for that. It might have. I don't know. I haven't listened to it. All right. So anyway, there we go. So we talked about Killer Croc. So it looks like this Killer Croc is just basically he's reptilian-esque, but not really a big giant reptile monster.
No, he looks more man than what we see in like the games or the animated series.
I'm like I said, since he's all over the place in the comic book, so I don't really care. They pick one, pick the other. Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah,
right.
I mean the only thing I'd say is that it's the movie's obviously somewhat tries to be somewhat grounded in reality, other than maybe the magic part. Where even Arkham Asylum in those games, there's still kind of some cartoony parts of it. Like you can't take it that seriously. Maybe Arkham Knight's a different story, but for the most part,
no, Arkham Knight's pretty cartoony.
Okay, I haven't gotten there yet. So
yeah, I mean they tried to, but it's a little. Yeah, we're not going to talk Arkham Knight because I think that's
right.
That's that's Point Streak's job. We don't.
Yeah. All I was trying to get at is that this movie seems to be more grounded in realism, if that's a word. But
yeah.
So it fits that tone, I guess.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I'm interested. I mean, I'm going to see it, obviously, and I'm even quite interested enough to actually try to get myself to see it in the theater, and that doesn't happen very often. So hopefully it'll do all right. It's being directed by David Ayer, and he did Training Day, which I really, really liked.
A fantastic movie.
Yeah, and he also directed a movie, Harsh Times, with Christian Bale. That didn't get a huge release. I don't even know if that got a theater release or went straight to video, but I did like it, so I have nothing to say. I did like it, so I like what he's done. I like his work, and also former sailor. So, in case you were wondering, like, how come former sailors don't get any more directing roles on movies? There you go.
Now you know.
Now he's got this one. But yeah, I think Training Day alone was enough to make me say, like, yeah, I could watch this movie. The guy who does Training Day is going to do Suicide Squad. I think that's probably the best you're going to get.
I would agree.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Is there anything else we want to talk about from Suicide Squad before we close this out?
I
mean, I can't. I think we've pretty much we filled over an hour with 2 trailers. I think we did pretty good.
Yeah. I can't think of anything. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, for those of you listening, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice is scheduled to be released on March 25th, 2016, and Suicide Squad is going to be released later that year on August 5th, 2016. So 2016, big year for the DC Cinematic Universe, the DCCU. I'm sure there's a better way to say that, but I'm interested. I mean, I want to see a Justice League movie, and I think we need to establish this world to get there, and they seem to be taking the fast track to get there because Batman v Superman seems to basically be like, and the next one will be Justice League, so hopefully, and maybe, just maybe, in my lifetime, I'll get to see Justice League Avengers.
Maybe.
That would be amazing.
All the pieces are in place now, man. We just need to get some movie rights signed.
That would be awesome, but I don't know.
We need North
pessimist.
Korea to hold the studios hostage until
North Korea has some pull
Justice
with
League
movie
Avengers.
studios. They could make this happen. Kim Jong-un, if you're listening, I'm not going to say that. No, I don't want to get shot. Never mind.
And we know you're a fan of Hero Talk.
Yeah.
We know this.
No, we don't. Don't put that on me. I don't need that. Holy cow.
Let me take it here then. Let me ask both of you guys, which one of you think you're more looking forward to at this point?
Batman v Superman.
Oh yes, Batman v Superman.
Okay, so we're all in agreement on that.
I just want to see. I want to actually see Batman and Superman fight, even if it's going to be stupid and they're going to use the most contrived ways to make Batman be able to keep up in a fight with Superman. That should never happen. And again, I'm the Batman fan here, and I'm saying it's stupid and it should never happen. And it's not a fair fight at all. But I still want to see it.
Yeah, I'll be honest. As soon as I heard the title, I was immediately like, "And this movie is going to make huge bank just because people want to see Batman fight Superman."
Yeah.
The rest of the movie could be completely stupid. People will still go to see those two fight.
They really missed their calling, though. I wanted this to be called World's Finest, and I think that could have been...
That would have made so much more sense.
Yeah, but, oh well. People, other than the comic book crowd, people wouldn't have gotten it. And they're like, what do you mean World's Finest?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, maybe you could call it Batman and Superman, the world's finest superheroes. I don't know. I don't know how you do it, and I don't think there's a good way. And
I'll say the worst title that I've ever heard people say they should have had was Men of Steel. That may have been the worst title.
Yeah, that was the worst. I think.
Yeah.
Well, I was originally pretty down on it when it was, Dawn of Justice, Batman v Superman, until I realized that this actually is not supposed to be Man of Steel 2, and there's another completely separate Man of Steel 2 out there somewhere.
Right.
So, and I guess in this case, I think there were probably better titles, but why not? At this point, I think Batman v Superman was silly. I think maybe Batman / I don't know. I could do this all day. Come up with better titles for Dawn of Justice.
If it were up to me, I'd have called it Man of Steel: Darkness Rising. But that's just me.
Yeah. I still just say they should have just gone straight up World's Finest. Even World's Finest : Dawn of Justice. Like, people are going to figure it out. Batman and Superman are on the posters. They're going to see the movie, whether they get the title or not. But
everybody's going to figure this one through.
Yeah, I think Batman v Superman felt a little overt in what you're trying to sell. But apparently I'm buying it, so, they could have called it This Movie Is Going to Suck, and I would still be in line at the theater opening night.
Yeah, it could be Batman and Robin 2, and we'd still be there.
Yeah. Alright, well, I guess we're going to call that. That's Hero Talk. So I want to start by thanking Goose and Tony. Hey, thanks for coming on Hero Talk, guys.
Anytime. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this was a great discussion, and it was really good because I was hurting for a Hero Talk, and I needed to get one recorded so that I could actually post on Thursday. So appreciate you guys coming on and helping me out. And this has been a topic I wanted to talk about ever since the trailers came out, and it just seemed like it wasn't going to happen until finally I got the opportunity. And I don't think I could have asked for a better crew to be on for this one. You guys really brought your A game, and I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Right. So, for you out there in the listening audience, I want to thank you for joining us. If you have a movie you want to see us review, or you want to join a panel for one of these recordings, you can email herotalk@enthusiacs.com for more Let's Plays, reviews, videos, and articles. Go to Enthusiacs.com. You can check us out on Twitter. We are at Enthusiacs. Check out our YouTube channel. You can check us out on Facebook. And as always, you can be right back here next time for the next Hero Talk.